When he told me God had called him to start a church, I was accepting. I was hopeful. Maybe this would finally be the turning point. Maybe all the affairs, all the lies, all the anger would finally be behind us. If anyone was going to be held accountable, surely it would be a pastor. But I had no idea that starting a church would actually make it easier for him to hide. For a little while, it really did seem different. He threw himself into studying scripture, fasting and praying, planning messages, talking about ministry, talking about serving people. He seemed more focused than I'd seen him in years. And I wanted to believe this was the answer I'd been praying for, hoping that God was changing his heart. Looking back, I think I confused activity with transformation. The pressure wasn't just about serving God. It was about appearances. If I was late, he said it made him look bad. If one of the children wasn't ready, it reflected on him. Very rarely, he would help get the boys dressed. But most Sundays, everything rested on me. I wasn't just trying to raise children anymore. I had become responsible for protecting an image. Sometimes during his sermons, he'd say something that made me pause. Not because it was wildly wrong, but because the interpretation felt stretched or twisted. I asked about it later after everyone left. I wasn't trying to embarrass him. I genuinely wanted to understand. But my questions never stayed questions. They became disrespect. He quoted scripture. A woman shouldn't usurp authority over a man. I wasn't trying to take authority. I was just asking a question. But eventually, I learned there was no difference in his mind. He felt cornered and didn't really have a biblical answer. So his resolve was to call me insubordinate to shut me down. He was big on submission and authority. He spoke on how a woman can control the man by being submissive and respectful. I mentioned that the scriptures also say that husbands are supposed to love their wives like Christ loves the church, but there wasn't very much talk on that. Just more about Christ's authority and rule. One day I finally asked, "Who are you accountable to?" His answer was simple. God. That was it. If I disagreed, I should pray. If I saw something concerning, I should pray. If something felt wrong, pray. Everything came back to one answer. God would deal with him, not me. So that's exactly what I did. I prayed, constantly, because I knew something wasn't right. I just didn't have words for it yet. Then one afternoon, my phone rang. He said,
"Remember I told you Shannon was coming to stay with us?"
I sat silently for a moment. No, I don't remember that.
"Yeah, I told you she was coming to help with the kids. She's in the car with me right now. We're on our way there."
My heart sank, because I knew that conversation never happened. But I also knew arguing about it wouldn't change anything. She walked into my house, into my children's lives, and I welcomed her. Not because I was comfortable, because I was exhausted. The church didn't fix our marriage. The cycle continued. Something would upset him. He'd explode, disappear, come back, apologize. Everything would calm down. Then it started all over again. Only now, his ministry gave him more opportunities to meet people, especially women. The church didn't fix our marriage. The cycle continued. Something would upset him. He'd explode, disappear, come back, apologize. Everything would calm down. Then it started all over again. I noticed something. Whenever I walked toward conversations he was having with Shannon or any woman, the conversation stopped. Or he'd look at me. Without saying anything, the message was clear. This doesn't involve you. Later, if I brought it up, I was being jealous or insecure. But after everything we'd already lived through, so many infidelities, I didn't think it was unreasonable to want transparency. Now he wanted validation immediately after every sermon. I had to be the first person to tell him how wonderful it was. Sometimes I'd text him before anyone else had the chance to shake his hand after church. "You did an amazing job today, babe." Eventually. Even that wasn't enough. I hadn't said it enthusiastically enough. I hadn't used enough feeling. I hadn't made him feel appreciated enough. The standard kept moving, and I kept chasing it. He would often ask my opinion, and if I had a thought different than his, he insisted that I just wanted to argue with him. I wondered why he asked my opinion if he didn't really want to know what I thought. Eventually, I stopped giving my opinion. When he asked, I'd often nod and keep my mouth closed. Not because I agreed or didn't have anything to say, because agreement kept the peace. Someone back home had told me, maybe he just wants support, not necessarily your opinion. So I supported him. Every idea, every plan, every opinion. From the outside, we probably looked happier than ever. Inside, I was disappearing, losing myself more and more. Telling myself, don't answer, just nod and be quiet. I wanted to believe that having the church would help save our marriage. Instead, it gave him access to more people, more admiration, and more opportunities. I had warned him countless times about spending time alone with women. I wanted accountability. He called it insecurity. Said he wasn't attracted to anyone that was in his vicinity, and I had nothing to worry about. Then one evening, he sat me down. His face looked serious. He had another confession. And this one broke me in a way the others never had. To hear more of my story, please subscribe for the next video. Like and share with someone you care about. Let me know in the comments how long it took before you became an empath empowered.